everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. I am here with my weekly wrap-up, and I'm hoping it's going to be a quick one because I didn't read a ton, and I went on a fan fiction journey that I'm still in the middle of right now. So, but let's go ahead and get started with my weekly reads. Okay, guys, so I am actually not feeling great right now. We just finished doing our Buddy Read live show, but I am feeling super nauseous, like very sick to my stomach today, and I'm just not feeling it. So I'm hoping I can kind of get through this wrap up pretty quickly. I was also supposed to film my TBR, which I'm always behind on getting my TBR created. So I don't know if I'm going to have it in me to film that, or it may be a super quick rush to TBR video. I don't know. We'll see how I pan out here because I'm just not feeling great. But let's get started. Let's just dive right into this. First off, I did forget to bring up a book for my last week's weekly wrap up. When I was editing, I realized I completely forgot to bring up one book, so I'm going to bring that up first here. So that book was Undeniably Corrupt by Saman, and this is I believe it was the final book. It's the 7th book in the Boston Irresistible Billionaires series. This one is about Vander, and Vander was kind of one of like the other friends in this group that he, I believe he was like a CEO of a company, but he's also kind of like the hacker friend that's kind of stepped in the past to help them out in certain situations. Now, I haven't read the entire series. I think I've only read the last 3, but I was really enjoying these. Might be 3 or 4. I can't remember, but this one was a good time. What we have is Vander. He owns his own company, and this is kind of a second chance workplace type of romance because he happens to come across Leora, which happened to be his girlfriend from when they were very young, teens. And things kind of fell apart for them for many reasons. Some are unknown, even to him. But things kind of fell apart with them. He was her brother's best friend, so they kind of had a secret relationship, and her brother had ended up dying, and he felt a lot of guilt and stuff around that, and he ended up leaving, and their relationship ended. But he comes across her because she's not in the best situation. She's working multiple jobs. She's actually, this series takes place in like a hospital. All of them are like doctors and everything, and she's actually finishing up, I believe, nursing school and working there, but she's also works at a coffee shop, and then she is also a stripper because she is a single mom. Her ex had like stole her money, left them high and dry, so she has to really struggle to get by with her daughter. And so he comes across her and really wants to help out in her situation. They kind of start out enemies a little bit because of the issues from the past, but they just have a lot of unresolved feelings for each other, and he kind of tends to take things in his own hands, maybe getting her fired so that she would be able to get a job with him at his company, and then that way he could hook her up. And then eventually, when he sees the place she's living and that there's this drug dealer that like accosts her all the time, he wants to move her in with him as well. And so that's kind of this romance. So I really liked this. I thought it was great. I did think there is a whole like third act suspense element and like reveals that I kind of just felt like came out of nowhere and I didn't totally buy into. But it was good. Like, I think it was just my mood at the time, because I do think this was a really good ending to the series. It was a really good time. It's very spicy. There's anal bondage, just different type of stuff going on. So I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars and 3.5 chilies. This was ALC that I had, and it was a dual narrated by Connor Craze and Stellar Hunters. So, I mean, I said Stellar. and Stella Hunter. And so it was a great audiobook, very quick to get through. I really enjoyed the audiobooks in this series. Okay, so that was a book from my previous week that I forgot to mention. So let's dive into this week's reads. So the first, okay, sorry, my light just went off. It's been really finicky lately, so just bear with me. Anyways, so the first book that I had was actually 12 Rec from 12 Friends, and so that vlog should be coming soon. I actually did 2 12 Recs from 12 Friends this month instead of just one. So I have a couple of vlogs to get posted, and I'm always bad about getting those up, but those will be coming soon. This was actually recommended to me by Becky from Bex Reads, and this was Fortune Favors the Cruel by Carpenter, and this is the first book in the Dark Magi series. Now I didn't really know. I thought maybe it was like a whole series, you know, with standalones, interconnected standalones, but this is like based off of like the same couple. So this is a fantasy romance, and I was really excited to read this because I don't read enough fantasy, and I had a really good time with it. I thought it was very unique and interesting, kind of where the female is the one with like these dark powers that she's not really in control of, and she's kind of like the morally gray, kind of does some shady shit too. So I thought that was interesting. So in this, we have Lazarus Fierte and Quinn Darkova. And Quinn is our heroine. She was enslaved for most of her life. She has been freed, but she kind of has a lot of anger towards what happened to her as a slave, and she wants revenge for that type of thing, but she is trying to live, you know, in the background unknown because she does have a lot of dark powers. She's like tries to go to this person to kind of like get a charm spell type of thing that will hold in her powers because she's not fully in control, but it's not really working at this point. She happens to kind of do something stupid in the beginning of this where she sees a slave owner like beating his slave, and so she literally almost beats him to death. And Lazarus comes upon this, stops her, and he basically goes to find her again, and she really wants nothing to do with him, so he kind of gets the authorities involved. She gets arrested, and then now he offers her, yeah, I can give your freedom if you kind of sign this deal. And then when she signs a deal to like kind of work, it's like she's not his slave, she's like, I can't remember what they called it, but like she'll be with him and work for him type of thing. But like it ended up getting like even like a tattoo on her arm. So it was giving me a lot of Rhysand making a deal with, you know, Feyre in the prison like type of setting. But she's kind of forced to go on the road with him, and it's kind of like this long road trip to get back to his home. I'm remembering correctly. But he knows that he was told that there was this woman that would come and she would have the most power and be able to help save his kingdom, because he actually is going to be like the future king. I think he's like a prince type thing. And so he knows that this is the one, and so he's taking her with him because she could bring about great destruction or help save things depending on how her power is used. So this is the start of their romance. So there's not a lot of romance in this. I will tell you that. There's really some tension between them. You feel their chemistry. This is a really good like set up to the series. So I enjoyed the fantasy elements, the whole like her dark powers and what she is able to do. Then you have reveals about Lazarus and what he might be. And so I really liked this whole setup, but there is not a ton of romance in it yet. So I'm definitely planning on continuing the series. I really enjoyed this book. So I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. And there's really no spice. I think there might have been one almost kiss. I can't even fully remember. So there's not really a ton of spice or anything. But I had a great time with it. Okay. So then I read Over the Moon by Laura Pavlov. I'm behind on getting to the series. I was really irritated because I didn't get the ALC for this one, and then I didn't get it for the next one either. So I was really bummed out because I've been a big fan of Laura Pavlov, and I was getting like all her ALCs previously. And again, I know I'm not owed the ALC. I'm not owed it, but I wanted it. So I was behind on getting to this, so I ended up finally getting to this book. So this is the third book in the Rosewood River series, and this one is about Clark Chadwick and Eloise. And Clark Chadwick is one of the Chadwick brothers. He is actually an NHL hockey star, and he had just had, I think, an MCL injury. And so he is heading home to Rosewood River to kind of, recover from that, train, do PT to kind of like get ready to, work through that injury and be, train for the next season. And basically Eloise is the coach's daughter, and she is like the new PT, new doctor, whatever you want to call it. And she is kind of told to come out to Rosewood River, his little small hometown, to help him with his physical therapy and training. And she's very irritated that she has to like move her life. And so she thinks of him as kind of like a diva, player, and just kind of very irritated that she has to move out there. But when she gets there, that quickly changes because she realizes how dedicated he is, how he just wanted to be in a comfortable spot, not in the public eye, like back home where he can be comfortable to recuperate and get better and train. And that way he could focus on training without any distractions and getting better. So she quickly realizes, he's not this diva, and they have a very playful, fun relationship. She starts to really fall in love with this like small town too. And so they start to really connect, but there's like that whole relationship clause, and she doesn't want to ruin her career. And I like the way this was handled, because sometimes that can be kind of annoying in books. But really, like, her career is the one that's on the line. Like, they just won the Stanley Cup. He's like one of the stars. Like, really, if the relationship came out, they weren't going to get rid of him or wouldn't affect his career. But she could lose her job and the respect of everybody. And, there's a douchey kind of like boss guy that was above her, even though she's more qualified. And he thinks that she only got the job because her dad's the coach. And he's just kind of making her life hard. So you get all the reasons why she wants to keep this secret and just to see where it goes. But they are really cute together. I loved how things were handled when things get revealed. And, I just really had a good time with this one. It is super cute. It's not a lot of angst. I love the Chadwick family. It was really adorable. There's funny because when the coach and like the owner of the team come to visit, they have dinner with the Chadwicks, and they were supposed to pretend like they didn't like each other or something, and like didn't know each other. So like his dad was trying to pretend like he had never met her before, even though she'd been over for many of their dinners. So it was just cute. It's got that Laura Pavlov humor that I really love in her like small town romances. This one, I listened to the audiobook. I ended up buying it, and it was duet narration by Teddy Hamilton and Charlotte North. Teddy Hamilton, can't go wrong. It was super cute. I had a great time. So I ended up giving that one 5 stars and 2.5 chilies. Okay, so then I wanted something quick and like smutty, just a little change up. And so I read Claiming the Club Princess by B. Sobjakken. Sobjakken. I always forget how to say this name. Sorry. But this is a novella. It's a smutty good time between a club princess. She's a stepdaughter of the MC president. And she ends up getting it on with her stepbrother and her stepdad. So this is Gage, Shaw, and Michaela, and she had kind of crushed on her stepbrother for a while, but he kind of turned her down because she was younger at the time, even though he's kind of crushed on her. And now it's her 18th birthday, and they forgot about her birthday, so she was like pouting and kind of throwing a little temper tantrum. It was a little much, but whatever. And she told them she wants to be part of the club. And to be part of the club, you would have to be kind of like the club slut chick, And they don't want her to be with anybody else because then they can like share her. So they decided to make her theirs, to make her feel part of the club. So they end up doing it together. There's a lot of breeding kink in this. They want to get her pregnant. It's sharing the stepdad and the stepbrother. You know, they're sharing scenes in this, so it does have a lot of smutty good times in it. So there was breeding, DP, sharing, anal. There was some somnophilia in this. And then there was lactation kink as well. So, I mean, there's really not much to it. There's not much plot. I honestly didn't think it needed to be as long as it was. And that's saying something if it's like a shorter book. But I still had a fun time with it. It's easy. If you want a smutty stepbrother, stepdad sharing a woman type of thing, it's fun. So I gave it 4 stars, 4 chilies. It was very, very spicy. Okay. So then we have our, oops, I almost skipped one. Sorry. I almost skipped a book again. Okay. So then I read the conclusion to the duet, which there is a 3rd book, but this is a love triangle duet, which this one is What He Always Knew by Candy Steiner. This is the Best Kept Secrets duet. There is a 3rd book that I'm planning to read, hopefully this upcoming month, because it's a book of the one she didn't choose. So this is Love Triangle. The first part was very emotional and angsty, and this one amped up the angst. It is between a woman and her husband and like her like first love, first crush. Now like her, I will say, I can't say a lot about this because it's a 2nd part, but I will say that I was not sure who I wanted her to choose, which is not usual in a love triangle. I was behind one guy most of the first book, but then stuff got revealed at the end of the first book that I was not happy with, and then it introduced the POV of the husband, and so it made you more emotionally like empathetic with the husband. So I did think that was interesting. So then in this one, we have 3 POVs. So the thing that I liked about this was it felt so real and like, you know, it wasn't just leaning one way or the other. It's a really impossible decision for her. She loves both of them. And so it wasn't like one bad guy or one guy that you're like, you know, at least that's how I felt. So I was happy with who she chose. I think it was the best option, but you do feel bad for the other person because you still liked them. They are all really flawed, realistic, very real characters. So that's what I kind of liked about this. So I really enjoyed this duet a lot, and I'm not usually the love triangle chick, so I really appreciated this. So I ended up giving this one 5 stars and 2.5 chilies. So I was happy with who she chose, but I still want to read the guy she didn't choose, and so he can get his HEA because I really did like his character too. So if you really want an angsty love triangle, kind of with more emotional context, like I think this was a lot more emotional and grounded than like other love triangles. I really enjoyed it. So excellent time. Okay, so then I have our buddy read, Slay Less by Tylor Paige. This is the 2nd book in the Final Girl series. I haven't read any other books by this author. This one was really something I was kind of excited to get to because it's basically inspired by slasher horror movies. So this one's supposed to be a combination between Halloween and The Shining, and it's got like a stepbrother kind of romance. So you can check out the live show. We just filmed it. So it is on Bestie Book Reviews channel if you want to go check that out, where you'll get all our different thoughts. And we all had different opinions, like different ratings on this. So that was kind of interesting. So what I'll say is I really enjoyed this, but I didn't love it. I thought it was too long. For what the story was, I do think it should have been just like a novella, because in this we have Priest and Delaney, and Priest is Delaney's stepbrother, but they grew up as brother and sister, really like close family as like when they were kids. So I do appreciate that, because I'm so sick of stepbrother romances where it's like, oh, we just met as adults, we're stepbrother, stepsister, we can't be together. And it's like, seriously? No, you need to have like grown up together for it to be taboo. So this was that, although it just didn't feel like super taboo to me. Now again, the author warns you in the beginning that this isn't like some think piece. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be wild. The heroine's going to be too stupid to live. So I didn't deduct anything for those reasons because I was kind of expecting it. I just got bored a little bit in the middle because in the setup of this, the hero priest, he was obsessed with the stepsister, in love with her growing up, and she had this older man that was kind of like grooming her, and he ends up murdering the guy and getting sent away to an institution. He breaks out and he happens to run into her at the house where she's kind of staying there before she goes to this kind of writer's retreat in this spooky kind of like hotel in the middle of nowhere. And for some reason, she doesn't have all her memories of like what happened with him. So that's weird. And then she ends up taking him with her because she lost her +1. And so they go together and they kind of get snowed in with this other group of people. There's ghosts. There's weird stuff going on. Think of The Shining. And you know, he's ready to finally make her his woman. He wears like a Michael Myers mask in certain parts. So that's kind of where that comes in. So it was interesting. I like the setting. I think it had a lot of promise. I just think it was too long for the story it was telling. I was getting kind of bored in certain parts. So that's the only thing I'll say is the drawback to it. I think it would have been perfect as like a novella. So I ended up giving that one 3.5 stars because while I didn't love it, I still liked a lot of it. I just think, you know, it was a little longer than it needed to be. So make sure you check out that live show if you want to see everybody else's thoughts on it. But anyways, yeah, it was good. I think I'll give it 3 chilies. Sorry, I didn't write my rating down, so just going off the fly here. Okay. So I have been kind of in a reading slump when reading physically lately. I've been really struggling. And so I didn't really have any arcs that I had to get to for once, or books that was like on my TBR that I needed to get to. So I decided to take a left here, veer to different territory and get to fanfic, because I made a goal at the beginning of the year. I even had a post on Instagram with all my goals for the year, and it was to read more fanfic. I've read no fanfic. So, yeah. So I decided to get back into some fanfic, and it's really been helping. I'm currently like in the middle of 2 fanfic, almost finished with 1. So that's why I don't have like a too much left after this, because I've been kind of sucked into my fanfics right now. So for the first one that I read for this week was At the Headmaster's Discretion by Desert Sea. And this is a Snape and Hermione story fanfic, which I love Snape. He's like my favorite character in Harry Potter. I think his story is just so tragic, and I just love that misunderstood, damaged hero. You know I'm here for that hero. So, in this, it's back to school. So, like, after the wars and everything, Snape had not died or anything. But he's the headmaster. And Hermione's kind of like doesn't know what she's kind of floating. She's not really happy. Ron and Harry are not at the school with her for like the 8th year. And so she's just kind of like alone. She's one of the head girls, and she just is kind of struggling. So she's been meeting with like this one book club group with like muggles. And, she has showed up late a couple times, and so when she shows up late again, Snape is infuriated, and he deducts 500 points from Gryffindor, which is a huge sum, and everybody's like hating on her for it. So she basically has to like suck it up and go to Snape and ask, like, what can I do? What punishment can I get? What can I do to kind of earn my points back? And he's like, no, like extra lessons, extra this, you'll love all that. Like, that's not a punishment for you. And so the punishments he gives her are sexual in nature. First, it's like her just robing in front of him, kind of having to play with herself in front of him. He does things. It's great. I loved this fanfic. Like, it was so good. And as they're like exploring their like this sexual dynamic, she's really getting to know Snape and really like fall for him. And she learns that he is like so scarred. Even he has like a glamour up, but he was like severely scarred by Voldemort and the other Death Eaters. Like they would torture him and do things. So it's just really sad. So I really had a good time with this one. It was so good. Very smutty. I love Snape. So it was good. So again, I learned at the last fanfic readathon that you're not technically supposed to give ratings for fanfics because they're not authors, they're not published works. So I keep my rating to myself, so I kind of know where it lies at the end of the year. But I will say, so usually it's just like if you don't recommend it, or highly recommend, basically, is kind of what I'll go off of. So I would highly recommend this one. I loved it. If you love a good like teacher-student BDSM, there's some major BDSM, like there's some flogging that she does to Snape. So there's a lot of smut in this, some other objects put in places. It's a good time. It's a good time. So I had a great time with that one and so happy to get back to fanfic. Okay, so the last two that I have, I told you this would be kind of quicker this week. I'm not going to go deep into because guess what? They're my Immortals After Dark read-along reads. And nobody watches my live shows. Please, if you don't catch the live show, head back, check it out. Just show me some support if you can. But I'm not going to go into my rating. I'm not going to give you all the deets of how I felt because I want you to check out the live show. Now, I need to reach out to Helen because I know she was on vacation. So hopefully the live show will be maybe next weekend. I'm not positive. I got to reach out to her to see when she's available because Helen, from what Helen reads, has been amazing and has joined me on like quite a few of these and has stuck with me till the end here. So, I mean, we're not quite at the end. It goes till the end of December, but I think we're getting there. We're getting close. So the next two, again, check out that read along live show once I get that posted. But the first one was Dark Skye. This is the 14th book in the Immortals After Dark series. We're getting there, you guys. I can't believe we're already like this far in. And this one was very interesting. This is between Thronos and Lanthe. And we've been kind of teased about them since I can't remember which book it was. I wrote it in my review, but I'm sorry. We've been teased about it since Lanthe's sister's book, which was Sabine, who I fucking love. I think it's Kiss of a Demon Kiss, whatever. I never can remember the titles of these books. But we've been teased about this because Lanthe and Thronos used to be childhood like friends. They were like in love with each other. He considered her like his fated mate type of situation, but his father ended up killing her parents, and like Sabine had died and she had to use her powers. She's a sorcerer. He is kind of like an angel demon, even though they don't acknowledge their demon type stuff, but he has wings and he lives like in the sky, and he like is very religious from a religious type of views. But anyways, after the death of her parents and everything, she thinks he betrayed her. So she ends up using her power of persuasion to make him jump out the window without using his wings. And he becomes very scarred. He's got wounds that weren't able to heal properly at that time. And so he's been after her for, I think, 500 years. He's been chasing her down, trying to find her. Now, when they end up both on Torture Island in a different book, he ends up finally able to capture her and take her with him. But because, you know, of the situation, his wounds, where they're at, they weren't able to like travel directly to his home. They had to keep jumping through these different portals in different realms and very dangerous territories. And so it's kind of like them on the run for their lives and him trying to take her, oops, just knocked over my water, home with him to make her his bride because she is his fated mate. Now in this, he is very like kind of religious and looks down on her because she definitely had sex a lot and owned her sexuality, and I love that about her. She didn't care. She's like, I don't care, like I'm not gonna feel shame for enjoying my sexuality. So there's that. So that's kind of like the setup of this one. Again, check out the live for more information. But it was definitely interesting. And then the next one that I had, which is the final book for this week, was Sweet Ruin. This is book number 15. And this one I've been very anticipating because I know it's on the top of some people's lists. And it was very different and interesting. I really liked it, which I'm giving it away right there. But you guys gotta check out that live. Because this is between Rune and Josephine. And Rune is a dark fae. And dark faes, he's actually dark fae part demon. And he is been like kind of his backstory is really tragic, but he's kind of like an assassin for this group, the Moriar, who we've been hearing about are going to be like the enemies to Nyx and everybody in this ascension. And so he is part of this group. He's kind of had to use his sexuality and kind of manho ways to like get information out of people. The thing is, he has to be very careful the way he did this because his blood and fluids are poisonous. So like kissing somebody could kill them. His blood is poisonous, so he's kind of been alone. He's a manho. He doesn't really want to be with anybody. And then we have Jo. She has no memory or realize, like, she doesn't really remember how she got there. She had a brother, Thad, who you'll recognize from a previous book, who is one of my favorite characters. Was her little brother, and she kind of had to raise him on the streets and stuff, and she doesn't really know what she is, because at one point she even gets shot and killed and she's alive, so she doesn't know, is she like vampire? She can kind of phase in and out, do different like ghost type stuff, so she doesn't really know what she is. And she happens to run into Rune, and they kind of, have a little something going on. But Rune is there to hunt down Nyx. He's after Nyx. He's supposed to kill Nyx, who is my favorite character. I love her so much. And so one thing I'll say is you get a lot more Nyx in this book, which I was so happy about. So he's after Nyx, but Nyx is crazy, but she knows things. And she's been manipulating people to all like get together or be where she needs them to be, like little chess pieces for the Ascension and everything going on. Is it the Ascension? I forget. I might be mixing that up with another book. Was it the Ascension? I think it's called something else. Sorry, I totally might be effing that up. But anyways, so he's there to kill her. And, the thing with Jo is she doesn't want to have sex with him until, like, he wants to be with her fully, and he doesn't do commitment because of his job and just who he is. But the thing is she actually drank his blood and loved it. And so it's the first person that is able to take his fluids. So anyways, it was great. So make sure to keep an eye out for when I post that announcement for when I'm doing the live show, so you can get all our thoughts on those books. I'm just so happy I'm reading this series finally. It's been a great time. I will mention one thing. I probably should have put this at the beginning of my video because I don't know if anybody even makes it to the end of these videos, but I do have a giveaway currently going on my Instagram. I will try to post it in the community tab here, but you need to go to my Instagram to enter the giveaway. But it's basically for Claire Kent's new release, Tower. And this is a really short little novella, but it's going to be signed. You'll enter for a chance to win a signed copy from Claire Kent. And it's kind of like set in her kindled world and it's like fairy tale retelling. So this is a Rapunzel kind of retelling set in her post-apocalyptic world. So it was great. I loved it. So make sure you head over to my Instagram, and that way you can enter the giveaway for a chance to win this. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this, guys. I am not feeling great, so I'm going to log off here, and we're going to try and get that TBR filmed right now too for you. So that should be coming later this week. Late again, but what can you do? All right. Thanks for watching, you guys. As always, I appreciate all of you and all your support. Leave me a like, comment down below, and I will see you guys on the next one.